Welcome to another episode of Athlete Things, and today we are joined by Alexis Jones, the new holder of the current all-time heaviest total held by a female at 721.5 kilos. Huge total. Thanks so much for coming on to the podcast following your USAPL Nats performance. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me and everything. Yeah.
It's our pleasure. We're keen to dive deep on that performance. It was probably one of my favorite from the USAPL Nats. I think like one of the ones that went a bit kind of uncovered and undiscovered. You know, if we look at like your performance, 9 from 9, records every which way. So I guess just after the performance, how you feeling about the day and all of that?
How I'm feeling about that day or just day to day?
Just the performance, yeah. What's the
Yeah.
reflections?
Um, I'm okay with it. I mean, I had two goals going into that meet. The first one was to break the open squat record and then win best lifter for the day. So, and I accomplished those two things. I was pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like, I mean, your performance itself was like super, super dominant, right? Like if we looked at that whole weekend as a whole, like on the men's side, you've got like these two standouts off the top of my memory, because like we're coming from outside of like the USAPL scene. So like the really dominant ones tend to show up, right? So you got like Austin Perkins, you got Daniel Clements, and then on the female side, there was yours, right? Which I think me and Sam were talking about it, and we feel like you didn't get as much, like, I guess, media attention as we think you deserved, considering how dominant it was. Like the overall total that you put up was just well ahead of the competition itself. And when you're comparing it to like world's totals this year, it was like really, really dominant.
Yeah. I totally blew that total out of the water, the world record total. Yeah, and I don't know why it doesn't get a lot of traction. It might be just because I personally don't have that many followers, or yeah, I don't know. Plus, I kind of um, if anything that goes viral of mine, I kind of um, can I curse or anything or
Yeah,
what?
go
Yeah,
ahead.
go for it.
Sorry, I was like I kind of get like shit on because one they don't know if I'm like male or female, and then I'm also a heavyweight, so. Yeah, I think just social media wise, it's hard to break out um, when you're someone of like my appearance, which is a little sad to say, but reality.
Yeah.
So,
It sucks, though, right? Because like, I mean, considering it's like super heavyweights, we're considering like comparing the caliber of performance, you're pretty up there with like in terms of how dominant it is to like Jesus, right? And like as we've seen his performance like this earlier this year is like everyone's going crazy, and like it looks like he gets what he deserves, and on equal fashion I feel like that's something that
right.
we feel like diving in a bit more into how you're going, how your performance went. It's like you should be up there as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no,
um
I agree. Um just like I was just the other day, I told someone I was like, there has been no other drug tested woman who's totaled over 700, and I've done it twice in 6 months. So
yeah,
just to
Yeah,
put
it's
it like that
crazy.
into perspective, yeah, it's a
yeah.
little crazy.
Yeah, like I think obviously we've got like the USAPL Nats performance, but if we go back right to collegiate Nats, like exactly right, like you said, you broke that 700, the 701 at
Yeah.
college Nats. This was 6 months ago, and I think that went even more unnoticed. So now it's not until you went onto like the Open or the USAPL Nationals stage where it becomes like a little more recognized, and as much as, not as much as we think you deserve, but it's definitely getting out there for sure. Yeah, and then like you said, right, 701, you just went 721.5. If we look at like the kind of Malta totals, with Brittany Slater going 693, he's definitely making a statement pretty early on into your career. I guess just really quick, just before we move on from the nationals, I know on your Instagram, you said like the training didn't go really well physically and mentally. So I guess like just to have a bit of insight in terms of how the preparation went, I guess, from college nats, like leading into nationals. What were some of like the kind of trials and tribulations that you faced mentally and physically?
Very early on, so off season went great. I mean, squat felt a little bit off, but then I was like, okay, usually I get into a prep and I get into a groove. But as prep progressed, and I think I did 10 weeks. I got new squat shoes that I hated those, and I switched back to my older ones. Squat felt a little bit better after that, but overall, it just felt like my power transferring out of the hole wasn't transferring correctly. I don't know if that makes any sense. It felt like I wasn't on this like straight path of just like, because usually like I'm very quick, I bounce out of the hole and I let that, I grind through that middle part and I'm great at finishing. But all throughout prep, I was just dealing with that. I was dealing with some scapula pain, like pain around my scapula from a previous injury. So it was mainly squat, and then a lot of my other problems were just in my head. Most of my training sessions, I was alone at night. So I'm notorious for like working noon till like 9 and then going to the gym instead of waking up and going to the gym, just because like I need my body to like wake up. I can't wake up and go to the gym. I'll have a horrible day.
I feel you on that.
Yeah. So I'd rather go work 8 hours and then, go to the gym. But then like I'm all alone and I don't have spotters, and it was crazy. The beginning of my prep, I was at a wedding that first week, and then here we come to my last block, 4 weeks out, and I'm traveling from Indiana to Florida, which is it was a 5-hour drive to Kentucky and then a 13-hour drive to Florida from Kentucky. And then, 2 weeks later, I drive from Florida to Nebraska, and I did it in 2 days. So it was 24 hours of driving. So beat myself up. So that was the start of the peaking block, as you can imagine. And
was that related to your work as well? Like you're driving long hours, or?
Yeah, just because I drove really long hours, and I think it was like a week and a half, something like that. But if you just imagine, I drove Thursday and Friday, 12 hours each. And then on Saturday, I moved in. I have my heavy bench day on Saturday. And then on Sundays, I'm also moving in, trying to get everything ready for school on Monday, and figuring everything out. And then I have my heavy squat and deadlift that day. So it was just a lot. And then I just never kind of like caught up from there, because I'm also taking like 18 credit hours on top of working like 20 hours a week. So I'm not a very busy person. It just doesn't help when, I'm in classes all day and then I probably go like work a couple hours and then I had to go to the gym. So
we spoke to Nathan, who just won the junior worlds at 93 2 weeks ago, and similar kind of thing. I guess like as a junior powerlifter or a college powerlifter, you've got a few more things on your plate than, I guess, obviously, you're younger for one and probably don't have as much like general life stresses as an adult who's, with kids, et cetera. But I guess at the end of the day, you've got a lot of commitment, right, in terms of, work plus study as well, which you've got to weigh up, especially leading into like a big kind of open nationals meet.
Yeah. Like my Tuesdays and Thursdays are 12-hour days, and I had my NSBD day on Tuesday. So I'd go to like my last class, and kind of in the afternoon at 2, go work out, and then go to a night class right after, and then not get home till 9:30. So, and then I'm up at 7 a.m. Like that same day, I'm up at 7 a.m. and I'm going to a Lifetime Fitness class at 8 a.m. and working out. So I basically had 2-a-days on Tuesdays.
Damn.
Yeah.
Somehow you got to make it work, right? But like, I think you were mentioning like, you've got this like super busy schedule and then you kind of have to train alone by yourself, right? But like, was it kind of different like a while ago, or has it always been this way?
No, because I lifted throughout high school, lifted on a team, and then I got to college and I lifted with a team. And so I've never, I guess the first time I ever experienced like being alone and not going to the gym and like having a team there was last summer. So I dealt with it last summer, and then this summer kind of went through the same thing again. But as I'm in my last like semester of college, uh, it's become clear that this is like every person's experience. Like you have your like friends at the gym, but not being like having like 20 plus people meet at the same time and you're all on the same program. You're all on the same agenda. Um, it's very different. So it's harder to find that motivation and keep the momentum going throughout your workout.
Mm.
So,
We wanted to touch on this because obviously, like in Australia, we've got powerlifting gyms that you're a member of, and a lot of like your kind of training is you're on your own accord, in the sense that you go to the gym, you might make little groups and communities and training partners amongst members of the gym. But we kind of want to know a bit more about like the culture of college powerlifting, because it's kind of sounding like it's very much like that team culture, almost like you'd see in college football and college baseball and all that kind of sense, where it's the same thing, but with powerlifting, where you've got this team of athletes who are all training together in the gym. So I guess give us a little bit of insight in terms of what college powerlifting is like, especially at Midland being what we see as one of the more dominant college powerlifting teams and programs.
yeah, we're the best. We're
Yeah. I was gonna say, what was
we
it like
everyone
three-time college champions? I was like, oh yeah, they're the best.
we're like we're like Bama. Like everyone hates Bama, because they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
keep winning. I don't know if you know about like college football culture
Like Alabama.
much over here. Yeah, like Alabama, yeah.
Are they the
Like they're
red and
not
white team? Red and white?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, they're a really big team. They've kind of fallen off a little bit now, um but that's besides the point. But yeah, it's very we're very team oriented. Our coach from the get-go is like, you're not here for you. Like you he's like, you're the highest paid athlete probably in the country because we only require you to do one meet. Like football players have to do 20,
Yes.
they have
Yeah.
15 games. You have track and field, like volleyball players are doing 2 games per week. Like, but we're
Yeah.
required to do one meet only, qualify for it, and then go to nationals. And he's like, the goals at nationals are not any of your personal goals. Like, I'm going to put on the bar what you need to win. And if you're so far ahead, then circumstances change. But no, he makes it very clear. And we've had people who haven't liked it, and then things things happen. But that's just how it is when um, what he says, he wants to create a dynasty out of this program. So yeah,
Yeah, well, it's like very much like, we see powerlifting as like an individual sport, right? But it's very much turning into that kind of team culture where, yes, you have your individual goals of what you want to squat, bench, and deadlift, but it then turns that into, okay, what's this team doing and how successful is this team going to be?
yeah.
What does that look like in terms of training schedule then? So you said, like, I'm guessing in the summer is when you're on break. So that's when you're home. And then
Yeah.
during like classes, that's when you have like, I guess, team sessions.
Yeah, so we're basically in school from late August to December, and then you have winter break for like all of December and half of January. And then you start spring semester in like the middle of January until end of May or beginning of May. So in our program specifically, you can have outside coaches during the summer and winter
Yes, that's
break.
also what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. And but while in season, you can't have outside coaches. We do an open gym for maybe the first month. They're just started practice today. I'm not there anymore, but we'll have practices Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday is optional.
Yeah.
So. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's very much
Yeah.
just like a team sport, like with scheduled training sessions, but you're lifting.
Yeah. Well, we have it's not open all day. I'm thinking of it how like the strength and conditioning room, like I've done my internship in strength and conditioning
Yes.
rooms.
Yeah.
But no, ours is run like a practice. Like we have practice at 3:45 to 6 for the women, and then the men come in from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is
Yeah.
any of it like those viral videos where you see on like Instagram where you'll get like this football player hitting like a fat PR, and then it's just like
Everyone's around
just
them.
like going crazy, like smacking
Yes.
chairs.
Yeah, so how we have it set up, I think we have like 14 racks set up, and you kind of have a walkway with chalk bowls in the middle and like
Yeah.
pillars, obviously. And then you have like 7 racks on this side with pews. He got pews put in, like church pews, so you can
Ah.
sit on them. Yeah, so you can sit on them behind the rack, and then things for your phone, so you can set up your phone, like you can literally set up your phone like this, and it's like sitting there, and chargers. But you have those 2 rows, and then you have the deadlift platform in front of the rack. And sometimes we do like team deadlifts or like a max out day, like
Yeah,
we're doing
sick.
AMRAPs or something. And I'm telling you, everyone congregates around the platform. You got people
That's so
behind,
good.
you got people, it's 360 of like just people yelling at you. I know the guys' practices is more intense. The women tend to stay like not in your face, but yeah, I've had like spit in my face. So
That's
yeah,
so good. I'd love to just do one session in that just to feel it.
it's honestly amazing. I kind of underestimated the team aspect of like working out and like working out with a team until I saw it. I trained a couple of my teammates over the summer, and they came back for open gym, and just them being in open gym, like their weights are moving 10 times faster
Yeah.
than when they were working out alone at home over the summer. And I'm like, your lifts are 10 times better. Tell coach your numbers went up already in this one month. And they agree. They're like, just having all those people around it's electrifying. Is all I can say. So.
Yeah. I'm curious then, like, because you started already in this team aspect, right? Like, in terms of like setting individual goals and like finding personal meaning in powerlifting, how does that kind of play out for you? Like, when you're thinking on a day-to-day, like, I need to do this for my team, or is it you're looking more so for a legacy? What's the kind of big picture thing that you're looking out for, especially considering like your individual performance is like so dominant, right? So like, do you think about it to contribute to something greater than yourself, or it's just to set yourself apart, essentially?
Um, my thought process is a little different just because I came in and I like, it became apparent after my first semester here, I was going to win my first collegiates as a freshman. And then I was going to therefore probably dominate the rest of my time, in the collegiate scene. So I know a lot of people who, they place top 10 maybe. And so I think their mindset is more of, I'm here for my team. I'm here to knock someone out of, 5th place so they don't get points. But I possibly won't score points for my team, you know? Um, but for me, I just kind of was doing my thing. I was like, we knew he's like, you can have your individual goals. It was kind of this unspoken thing because there was no like I went in and I was dominating. So I have a very unique perspective in that sense. But
Yeah, like it's a very privileged spot to be in, right? Because it's like it's just so far beyond what's currently happening that it's like in order to keep
yeah.
progressing, you need to set your own goals, right?
Yeah, so I like set my own goals, and I mean it eventually like uh bit me like in the butt, you could say. Because I was like, oh, I want to pull a PR at my first collegiates, but that also I failed it, and so I sacrificed the best lifter award for a PR, even though I had like four coaches surrounding me. But they're like, you're ahead, you can pull whatever you want. It's just like, what are your goals? And I basically gambled, and they let me make that decision. So, but yeah, he thought it was going to be a lot closer going into my first collegiates, and then it became apparent as like no openers were put in, and then the jumps we made that he's like, just have fun. He's like, just do whatever you want. So yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun in that position. But I mean, like in terms of competitiveness, right? It seems then that's still an aspect of powerlifting that hasn't really, I guess, been fully fleshed out for you. So naturally, and I guess this would kind of drive the topic towards where you're going to be going next, right? Because like USAPL absolutely dominated, pretty much like just killed it, right? And now the next big thing is like either USAPL, PA, and we talked a bit about it before the call, but what's looking like is going to be on the cards for you next?
Um, Now I'm gonna switch over to Powerlifting America. Um, I need to do a qualifying meet sometime in January, go to PA Nationals in March, hopefully win there, which I think I will, and then go to Worlds, hopefully win Worlds, and then get my ticket to Sheffield and hopefully have my shot at Sheffield. So yeah.
Just
Blow it all up.
taking that domination to the world stage. Let's go.
Yeah. I can't tell you how long I have been waiting to go to Worlds because I signed with Midland in 2020. And then oh, it was 2021 of summer. And then they got kicked out. And I was supposed to go to Junior Worlds that like fall.
Yeah.
And that fell through. I can't tell you, that was probably the most upset I had ever been in like a long time at that point in my life. Because when I signed with Midland, my whole intention was like, okay, I get the best of like everything. Like I'll be on one of the best collegiate teams. I get my college paid for. I'm gonna be with some of the best athletes, surrounded by the best athletes, the best coaches, and I can also like go to Worlds and in the summers, have my share at Worlds. And then that just kind of got like stripped away going into my sophomore year. And so I had to make a huge decision going into my sophomore year whether I wanted to transfer out of Midland, go to college back at home, save money. I could be at home. Like home is 24 hours away. And then I could still go to Worlds and go to Junior Worlds, hopefully go to like Open Worlds, win that. So yeah, I've been stripped of, I'd say two world titles.
It sounds like, yeah, you keep going, sorry.
Just from USAPL, making that decision. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. So
yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty tough decision, right? Because like you said, like on one hand, you've got this huge opportunity to go through a college program, be a part of that team, like have this huge support network, which seems like it's very fruitful for a lot of young powerlifters and powerlifters coming through that system. Or on the other hand, after the split, you've got this dream of going to Worlds, which all of a sudden now you've got to make a choice between the two.
Yeah.
But I think like either way now, I mean, you've had that, 2-3 years within that program. And now you're in a position where you can flap your wings, set free and fly.
Yeah.
And go forth and dominate.
Yeah. No, I'm grateful I stayed. I met my like best friends here. I met my current coach here. He's like my best friend, coach, mentor. Like I've lived with him. His wife is also my best friend. I was in her wedding this past summer. I was in their wedding this past summer. Tim Anderson, our head coach, is like one of the best game day handlers. I wish I could take him with me to Worlds and to Sheffield. But it's great having all of those connections, and just all of the experiences I got to experience.
Yeah,
So,
it's like yeah, you go. So
and I also got like my SBD like sponsorship through Midland.
yeah.
So yeah, many doors have opened for me through that.
Yeah, it's like you just got this like Midland family now, right? Where it's like has set you up on this like rocket ship to your powerlifting career, but then now you can also like take all of them with you along for the ride too.
Yeah.
Where on that note, just on like, you know, the IPF versus USAPL, there's a lot of chit chat following from nationals in comment sections of, you know, Perk's total, your total, you know, all these people that are like rumored to be going across into transition to IPF worlds where, you know, people are saying like, oh, well, do that at worlds, bro, or, you know, do that with travel, do that on the world stage. What are your thoughts in terms of seeing your performance, what you just did at USAPL Nats, and how you feel like you stack up on the world stage with all those like kind of factors involved with, you know, an international competition, but also as well with like just the nature of the competition with, you know, the added pressure of a world championship and all of the rest, and especially even more so when you get to Sheffield.
Right. I actually think this is one of the factors people don't talk about my performance a lot because I have no international experience. I've only ever been to like a national meet, but I've been to multiple national meets, and I haven't had any real competition. Like I went against Monica in 2021, but I was nowhere, near her. I got third at nationals. But now I've grown, obviously, and and I have the unofficial world record total and like the bench record and deadlift record. But I just don't see travel taking into account like affecting my performance at all, or even just having, three people, four people now gunning for first place at Worlds, just because like I execute and I go to a meet and I execute. And this past meet, I didn't have any of those other factors, but just knowing mentally where I was at during that day, the 4 weeks prior, and still doing that, like I'm fully confident that any obstacle could be thrown in my way and I'd still somehow be able to do the things I do, like perform at such a high level.
And the craziest thing is like you're still a junior and you're still coming up, right? So like no matter what's being thrown at you, numbers are still going to keep growing, which is the most insane thing.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things that made it so tough is what's crazy is I expected so much more from that performance, and not the bench, not the deadlift, but like the squat. I wanted to squat more than I squatted that day, and it like crushed me. And that photo of me just like I like stepped off the platform and I'm like straight face.
Yeah. That was the actual feeling.
That was a face of disappointment. Like I actually hated myself like at that point. And they're like, she's so unfazed and like this and that. And no, I just expected more from myself and I knew I could do a little bit better. So
yeah, it's like you're standing up with like 276 and you're just like, this is not heavy enough. It's like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know. I didn't feel well that day. Like, like waking up, going through the day, eating, like weighing in, going through warm-ups. Mentally, I don't really think I was there until after my third bench. So I never understood what people knew when they said they grew into a meet, and I finally understood that at this meet. So
Yeah, that's why I love that little like kind of like a shot call you had on that post where you were like, just so you know, this, and this happened, and I still did that. Like, I love that.
yeah.
Still put another 20 kilos on the all-time total.
I did, yeah.
And then in the older post, it's like, what, finished as a squat? Finished as a deadlift. And you just calling out, who's number one now?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind on that one?
That one, I just like I knew. Okay, so here's because not even. Oh no, I'm getting my timeline mixed up. What happened? Oh, Vegas happened. Okay, so let's rewind even further back to 2022 Open Nationals in Vegas. I totaled, I think, 1 kilo above what Bonica totaled at Worlds, and so I was so upset at just the circumstances I was in. I knew I had one more collegiates in me, and then I was trying to find an avenue in trying to get to Powerlifting America, get to Worlds. But I was so upset over that. I was like, I'm here in Vegas. I'm lifting in a federation I kind of don't want to still be lifting in, and like she's the champion when I knew on that day, like I could have been the world champion. And then so fast forward to collegiates, in the spring. I was like, this is my chance to make it like so undeniable. I need to total something crazy. And even on that day, I said I was going to squat 600 the night before. When I thought I was going to squat like 590 that meet, but I squatted 6. And then the meet progressed. The bench went really well. And then deadlift, I was like, okay, I need to like break the 700 total and just like make it like unquestionable, that if I was at any world meet, that it would be me number one. So yeah, I think that's what's kind of going through my mind. So that's why I was like, who's number one now? I was like, you can't like, you know what I'm saying? And I think they just had Sheffield too, right? In March, like a month before.
Yeah.
And she only totaled 680. So even it was just more fuel to the fire at that point. I was like, I'm stuck in a situation that I really can't get out of because I made a decision, a tough decision for my own personal benefit. So yeah.
So you go the 680 at Sheffield, you throw up 701, statements made. We go a little bit more forward, Malta happens, Bonica bombs.
Yes.
What's the thought process behind that?
I was watching that and like, okay, first off, going into Worlds and like watching all of that, I thought Sonita had it in the bag. Like I didn't even have Brittany Schlater. Like I had her in third place. I was like, okay, if Bonica can like pull it out, she'll get second place to Sonita. Because Sonita totaled 701 in the gym. Like
yeah.
And I was like, okay, she's gonna total like I'm expecting people to, like act like how I act. Like I'm never gonna total more than I do at a meet. But then here you are, she can't. I think what did she total? Like it was 688 or something like that. It was something.
Yeah, from memory. Yeah, we were there live watching it. It was crazy how it unfolded, but yeah, it was.
It was close because like the winning total was 693.5.
And then Jewel from New Zealand was third, and then Nat the Australian was fourth. Yeah, so it would have been about high 680s, I think, from memory.
Yeah. So, I thought Sonita had it in the bag, but I think she had a leg injury or something, like a calf injury. Something happened. But
Yeah, from that last squat.
um but yeah, I knew Bonica wasn't going to win that Worlds. I just yeah. I was a little upset that it wasn't me dethroning her. Is all I can say, really.
Well, yeah,
So
if we flash forward then, so like looking ahead, I'm guessing you'll probably have a matchup with her at PLA Nats early next year.
yeah, yeah. She's doing a meet in November, and a lot of people have been telling me to do that meet so we can go head to head. But I'm like, I can't do that again. I can't like leave school again. So
Yeah. And you want to save it, right? You want
um,
to save it for
yeah,
the one that counts, right?
I do. Yeah. So we'll see what she has in her, but if she can't total over 680, I don't know. You know? So yeah.
Where do you
It's going to be interesting.
Oh, you
Sorry,
go,
you go,
Danny.
Sam.
Sorry.
I
No,
was
you go,
going to
man.
say, like, I guess the next interesting thing then is like, I mean, you've got to then qualify for PA and go through that whole process, aka hitting like the huge Carpina score that America's known for. And then you got to win Worlds and then Sheffield. So ahead of you is like each of these milestone meets are like gigantic in and of themselves. So how are you kind of like thinking about where the next meet's heading in terms of significance?
Um, I'm not too worried about PA Nationals. Um, obviously when Worlds comes, I'll start worrying about that. As of right now, I just have to I have to finish school. I got to figure out where I'm gonna live after. That's my big concern, really. And then I'll start worrying about lifting again. I mean, I have how many months? I got like 9 months, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not too worried about nationals, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah. Like if I was trying to pull it up now and like looking at just 2023 nationals, the 84 kilo Carpino one is 638.5, which is nuts, right? Like you blow that out of the water. So it's like you
Yeah.
definitely get your selection spot. So I mean, for you,
Yeah.
like that pressure situation's almost at like you're almost at that like win worlds or bust level, right? Like you think,
Yes. I'm more worried about that. That I'm like, okay, first time at Worlds, something goes terribly wrong, and I just the outcome I want doesn't become the outcome that happens. And then everything just kind of goes downhill. Because I'm really banking on that Sheffield 2025. So
Yeah. I guess a good way to kind of wrap it up on this kind of notes on Sheffield and Worlds. Now that you're free from this kind of college Midland system and like, you're separating yourself from this kind of team environment and it's now purely on you as an individual athlete. Where do you see yourself in the future powerlifter Alexis Jones? Like, what's the benchmark you want to set? What's the legacy that you want to set? Do you have any like totals, numbers, goals? How far do you want to push it?
totals, I don't know. For strategic purposes, I don't know if I want to say a total.
Yeah, yeah,
Just because,
that's fair.
yeah.
that's fair.
But one number I definitely want to hit is like possibly a 400 bench. But I don't think that's. I think that it'll take me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just hit 380. So that's 172 and a half in kilos. Um, I definitely like to hit the three reds
Yeah.
in comp. I don't think I'll be squatting 700 pounds or deadlifting 700 pounds. I mean, hopefully, within the next couple of years, I push like a 700-pound deadlift. But at this point, I think it's whatever I need to do to win Worlds, win Sheffield. One goal I would like to have is to own every world record.
Oh, that's was going to be my next question.
Yes.
Because we were
I
we were
have,
looking at the numbers from Sheffield, right? Like
yeah,
Sunita 285.5, Reeves 164.5 bench, and then our girl Nat Bubbs 268.5 deadlift.
yeah,
Total 693.5.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm very well rounded. So I
Yeah.
have the total down, like the fact I'm almost 30 kilos ahead. Or is it more than, what is it? Like,
So
Yeah,
721
720,
minus
like 30 kilos
693.
ahead, roughly.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and then the bench, I'm almost 10 kilos above that. And then deadlift, it depends on what my competitors have in the tank this next year. So, and then squat, I just have to I have to make up for it. So
You just got to get used to your squat shoes,
I just got.
and then it's
Well, the thing
over.
is, I'm still in the old ones. I'm not wearing the other ones. For some reason, they're just really weird. They're the Powerlift 5s, and I wear the 3s, and the 3s are discontinued. So what I might do is, if I find the 3s, I might buy 2 pairs, and then once those 2 pairs are gone, I'll have to figure something out.
Just
Yeah,
Facebook Marketplace,
that's what I'm trying.
eBay.
eBay, yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. I mean, yeah, I'm excited, very excited to see where the next year plus takes you. I mean, following that performance on USAPL Nats, like absolute epic statement made. We've just got an announcement that, that turning over to Powerlifting America. So everyone look out. Lex Jones, she's coming.
Yep, I'm coming.
Sick. Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thanks,
me.
Lex.
Yep. Yeah.